Hi, welcome to Social Studies class. I'm so glad you're here. Well, as you can see today, I'm sitting in front of the North Carolina flag. And here at the top, we have the date of the Mecklenburg Resolve. And down here, you can't quite see, that's the Halifax Resolve, right here on the flag. Well, we have been learning also about state symbols. And you may even remember lessons from the beginning of the year about some of the state symbols, like the cardinal, the state bird, and the dogwood as the state flower. Or maybe you remember the sweet potato is the state vegetable. Well, we're not talking about symbols today. Nope. Today we're going to be talking about how places around North Carolina got their names. I know, burning questions. Why was Charlotte named Charlotte? How did North Carolina get its name? Well, those are some of the things we're going to explore in today's social studies lesson.
North Carolina names, places of today, people of yesterday. Speaking of people from yesterday, here's some pictures of some people who their names are around or on the state. Here we have Sir Walter Raleigh. We have Nathaniel Greene, Joseph Winston, King Charles I, and Queen Charlotte. So, as I was saying some of these names, you might have been thinking, oh, that's who that's named after. That's who that town's named after. Well, we're going to take a closer look at these people and their impact on our state. As we know, North Carolina has an amazing history. As one of the 13 original colonies, some of the names of cities in North Carolina reflect the British influence on our state. You may remember back when we were talking about the early colonization of America by England, that there was the Roanoke colony. That's right. The late 1500s was a time of great exploration and expansion for England. Queen Elizabeth I, who you see in this picture, was Queen of England. And Sir Walter Raleigh, well, there he is there. He was a sailor, adventurer, author, and even a charismatic member of Queen Elizabeth I's court. He is responsible for funding voyages to colonize the coastline of the Americas from north of Florida to Virginia. So let's talk more about Sir Walter Raleigh. You may remember this. What makes him so special that Raleigh, our state capital, is named for him? Well, in 1585 and 1588, Sir Walter Raleigh financed the Roanoke colonies. If you remember, those were two colonies actually that were founded at the coast. The second Roanoke colony became known as the Lost Colony. That is the one that was led by John White, with the first English child being born here, Virginia Dare. That is the colony that vanished. That's right, Sir Walter Raleigh. He is who Raleigh, our state capital, is named after. Our state capital was founded in 1792. Well, where did the name North Carolina come from? The word Carolina comes from Carolus, the Latin form of the name Charles. In 1629, King Charles I granted territory in America to his Attorney General, Sir Robert Heath. The land was called Carolina, meaning land of Charles. In the early 1660s, King Charles II let Carolina be owned jointly by him and 8 lord proprietors. So it was kind of the king and these men who owned big pieces of Carolina. Now, Carolina was a large and tough area to manage. So it was divided into North Carolina and South Carolina in 1712. And some of the names of these 8 lord proprietors can still be found around North Carolina on bodies of waters, buildings, and counties. For example, Hyde County, Craven County, and Carteret County, Albemarle Sound, and Albemarle Beach are all named after the 8 lord proprietors. As time passed, the English royalty and Parliament wanted the Carolinas back so they could get taxes from the people and use the natural resources. So in 1719, South Carolina was taken back and became a royal colony. 10 years later, North Carolina became a royal colony. How did the city of Charlotte get named? Charlotte was named after Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. She was the wife of King George III, who was King of England at the time of the American Revolution. Well, when Charlotte was being formed as a town, the people who were in charge and organizing the town decided to name it Charlotte to kind of stay in the king's good graces. Charlotte is also nicknamed the Queen City. It was formed in 1768. Now, here's a picture of Queen Charlotte, and here's the city of Charlotte. And if you remember from earlier social studies lessons, we talked about that Great Wagon Road, and a part of that Great Wagon Road came right through Charlotte. So this is how the town really grew. If you visit Charlotte, you may see pictures of her or even statues around the city.
Hi, you may be wondering who this is. Well, this is Lord Francis North, 1st Earl of Guilford. That's right, he's who Guilford County is named after. His son, Frederick North, the 2nd Earl of Guilford, he was the Prime Minister of England under King George III during the American Revolutionary War, and actually the years just before it. Guilford County became a county in 1771. It was taken from Orange County and Rowan County and kind of put there together. It was a big county. And the reason it was formed is because the government wanted more control in the Piedmont area. So they built a jail in the middle of Guilford County, and they built a courthouse known as Guilford Courthouse, which you might remember from the American Revolutionary War. That is where Nathanael Greene fought Cornwallis. So there you have it. Lord North, 1st Earl of Guilford, Guilford County's namesake.
Revolutionary War heroes. Well, we know time passed and the English colonies in America were growing, and the desire for independence from England was growing too. This is in large part because of all of the taxes that were being levied on the colonists by the Parliament of England and the King. So this led to that American Revolution, which we've just been learning about recently. You might remember a picture of this man here. This is Nathanael Greene. Greensboro is named after Nathanael Greene. Greene was not born in North Carolina, and he did not live here. During the Revolutionary War, his army fought against the British army of General Cornwallis at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. This important battle weakened the British military just before the Battle of Yorktown. And if you remember, Greene's army did not technically win the Battle of Guilford Courthouse, but it was significant because the Cornwallis's troops were weakened so much. And at the Battle of Yorktown, Cornwallis surrendered to General George Washington. That was the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. And here is a historic sign marker outside the Guilford Courthouse. Important battle of the Revolution between armies of Greene and Cornwallis. Now let's talk about Winston-Salem. That's right, the neighbor just to the west of Greensboro. The story of Winston-Salem is really about the merging of two towns. You may remember when we were talking about the settlers that came to the Piedmont region, we talked about the Moravians. The Moravian town of Salem was established in 1766. And the Moravians had a large tract of land, 100,000 acres, that they called Wachovia. Here's a picture of Old Salem, some of the landmarks there, including the Single Brothers house. Forsyth County was established in 1849 after the Moravians sold part of their Wachovia land. In 1851, the town of Winston was formed. The town of Winston was named after Joseph Winston. He was born in Virginia but moved to North Carolina in the late 1760s. Joseph Winston was part of the Continental Congress that voted for independence from England. He also fought in the Revolutionary War. After the war, he continued to represent the interests of the people of the Piedmont as a state senator. That's a picture of him here. And here's a statue of him. In 1913, the towns of Winston and Salem merged or came together, and they became Winston-Salem. There are many towns and counties named after North Carolina governors who were in office before 1900. Edenton was named after Charles Eden. Asheboro and Asheville were both named after Samuel Ashe. More recent governors have had parts of highways, parks, or buildings named after them. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson on how some of the places around North Carolina got their names. Thank you for joining me.